What is going on, guys? Welcome to Greggle's TV Daily Rewind, is where we go back a week, give you all of your tech news stories from the past 7 days in one single video, and we talk about everything that happened about the S23, 23 Plus, and 23 Ultra in terms of the release, trade-ins, pre-order, and some of it is disappointing. We talk about performance of this phone being one of the best, if not the best, gaming phones to get, and so much more. So enjoy this week, and we'll see you in the next one.
First story of the day has to do with the Nothing phone. If you remember the Nothing phone, it is a device that has come out overseas, and now you can buy it here in America for $299. It is kind of a mid-tier phone, I guess you would say, because it has a Snapdragon 778, and it's just not an overall hugely premium phone, but that is about to change, it seems, because the latest information coming out from Inverse, who did an interview with the guy that owns and runs Nothing Phone, has confirmed a US release date for a new Nothing Phone 2 coming in late 2023. And Carl Pye told Inverse that the next phone will be more premium. The US is the top priority in 2023, and they're investing heavily in software development. So if you are a fan of the way the Nothing Phone looks and the potential of what that phone could be, this phone might be right up your alley. I haven't played with the Nothing Phone 1, but I hear it's very smooth. I hear it's kind of a delight to use, really. And for $300, if you're on a GSM carrier such as AT&T or T-Mobile, it works pretty much on there. On the CDMA networks such as Verizon, it will not. Next up is coming from Ishant Agarwal, who's reporting that AT&T website, and I saw the screenshot, but I'm not gonna show it, I'll just show this, has confirmed the availability and price of the details of the S23 series in the USA. So the prices, and we've talked about this as well, showing a Verizon, but now this is AT&T, $799 for the S23, S23 Plus will be $999, S23 Ultra will be $1199. These sales will start on February 17th, and pre-orders will start right after Unpacked on February 1st. Nothing really new there, but I just wanted to throw out there in case you were like, you know what, I bet you that Verizon information is wrong. This is actually on AT&T's website. I saw a screenshot of it. Might not still be there, but it was at one point. So February 1st, the release date. Price is still the same as last year's generation, at least here in the US. And obviously those are the phones. And our last bit of information is S23 Ultra exclusive features that are only going to be on the S23 Ultra, such as the 200 megapixel main camera and the 100x zoom. Remember that? Get a nice long zoom for that. 10 megapixel 10x telephoto, QHD plus resolution with the 1 to 120 hertz refresh rate, Gorilla Glass Victus 2, Wi-Fi 7, which is the fastest Wi-Fi you can get if you have Wi-Fi 7 router to begin with, vapor chamber cooling to keep your phone nice and cool. You know it's still gonna get hot. S Pen, so you can write on the screen and take notes and doodle and draw. 1 terabyte model, up to 1 terabyte model. Everything else, the other highs are 512. And 12 gigabyte RAM models. All the other phones get the 8 gigabyte model. So some exclusives. Obviously, you would always expect the S23 Ultra to be a better phone, but those are the things that make it better overall. Someone sent me this information. I won't say their name because I don't want to get them in trouble. And also, I just want to say that basically we know what the trade-in is going to be, at least the most you're going to get for a trade-in on your phone. That was the big takeaway from this, as well as some other information. So I copied everything in a, basically with Google Lens from the image. I'm not going to show the image, but I'll show you the actual text that shows up on there. So let's just read it. So it says, save up to $800. Save up to $800 on select Samsung phones with qualifying trade-in when you activate a new line within 30 days or an upgrade, and enjoy lower monthly payments. So don't worry about the activating a new line. It sounds like, based off of what the ultimate trade-in is going to be, so it's going to sound like it's going to be up to $800 no matter what phone you trade in terms of the most. It doesn't mean like if you trade in a Galaxy S10, you're going to get $800. It sounds like if you trade in, say, like an S22 Ultra, a Galaxy Z Fold 4, you'll probably get $800. That's what it sounds like based off of this information coming through. I will admit this is not directly from Samsung. It's from a carrier of a carrier, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not Mint Mobile, but it's like Mint Mobile and they use T-Mobile. It's something like that. So they usually copy each other. So you should be getting the same exact thing though as Samsung and everybody else. So it looks like $800 will be the top amount of trade-in value for your phone, based off of and then besides the line is canceled, says a promo for that ends March 31st. And you can also use that on the Z Flip 4, Fold 4, and the Galaxy S25. You do also get more memory. We've heard that before. So you'll get the 256 for $512. So basically pay for the 256 gigabyte, but you'll get the 512 gigabyte version of the phone. That offer ends on February 16th, which is a day before the actual release date of the phone. So if you're thinking about getting the Galaxy S23 Ultra, $800 would be the max amount that you would get for your trade-in, and you would get a free memory upgrade. And then you also remember you're going to get trade-in credits as well, pre-order credits, which we still haven't figured out the full amount on that. It's at least 50, maybe 100. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe more. Maybe it'd be up to 200 or 250 bucks. It depends on what they're going to give us. But that, again, the information I'm showing you is from a third-party carrier. But again, the trade-in values usually are very similar or the same across the board. Pre-orders for the S23, S23 Plus, and S23 Ultra are live right now. It is linked down below, and it's also linked on the first comment pinned. So if you want to take advantage of the pre-order offers and deals, you can right now. You'll get up to $750 with trade-in. But most of the phones are much lower than that. Most are 500 or below. So I'll talk about it in another video, but those are the trade-ins right now. You also get up to $150 of pre-order credit, depending upon if you reserved it or not, and you got your reserve email. If you didn't, you'll just see $100, which you can use on any accessories that they have. You also get free upgraded storage, so you can double your storage basically for free on there. So take advantage of it. The trade-in offers are better if you get a carrier model like from T-Mobile, Verizon, or AT&T versus buying unlocked like myself. So keep that in mind, but I still advise to get the unlocked model because it doesn't have any bloatware. You're not locked into a contract, and you get the pure experience of what Samsung expects you to have. Everything's linked down below. If you want to, again, if you use my links, it supports me big time. It shows your love for what I do, so make sure you show some love. Thanks so much, guys. And see, I'm a little somber today, a little bit down, and it has to do all with yesterday, what Samsung has released and done with their pre-order selection and trade-in and everything to do with that. It's a disappointing day in so many ways for a lot of folks. And what happened yesterday, let's start off with the good. They released 3 really good phones yesterday. S23, 23 Plus, 23 Ultra. If you get any of them, they're still really good, if not great phones. The Ultra obviously is the best of everything because it's getting the fastest charging, it has a great processor, it's got great camera setup, it's got a beautiful display, it's got tons of features. It's awesome, don't get me wrong, it's great. It's gonna be the best phone spec-wise that they release most likely all of this year. And it's just the year just started. But what they did with the trade-ins and the value of all of that is awful. But let's first talk about why it's probably like that. I think one reason why the trade-ins are so low and so bad and basically 50% of what they were in the past is because the fact that Samsung has announced that they lost, or they didn't lose, but they made $8 billion less than they normally did versus last year. It's crazy. When you compare it, that's a lot of money, and that's gonna probably increase as time goes on. The second reason is you look at the S23 line, it's the same as the S22 line in a lot of aspects. I mean, the S23 line is a better phone, but it's not a huge jump in a lot of places to where most people probably won't even upgrade. So I think it's gonna be a low selling phone at that. When you factor those two things in, which are major things, I think that's why we're seeing really low trade-in values. Now, if you're trading into the carrier through Samsung or your carrier alone, you're probably going to get a better trade-in deal. You can get up to $1,000 or up to $800 or whatever the deal is with the carrier, have it be T-Mobile, AT&T, or Verizon. You can get some still really good trade-in offers. But if you want to go unlocked, which is what I always recommend, and I recommend unlocked phones because software-wise, you're not getting any, when you boot up the phone, you're not going to see Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile's logo show up before Samsung's or after Samsung's. You're not going to get any pre-installed apps from your carrier on there that you either cannot get rid of or they do want to get rid of. You're getting a pure experience. Nothing's been disabled, nothing's been dumbed down. You're getting the full Samsung experience the way Samsung wants you to get that. Also to take into consideration that, if you're not locked into a contract with your carrier, if you buy an unlocked phone, which is great, you're not having to stay with them for 30 months or 2 years or whatever it is. You can take that phone, take the SIM card out, and put any other SIM card in it in America, and it'll work just as good as any other phone that on that network. Or you can bring it to another country, and it will work really, really well. Might not have all the bands, but it's still going to work really well. You don't have to do anything with your carrier or anything like that. It'll just work if you put a different SIM card in there. That's why I love unlocked phones. They're great. Now, Samsung is disrespecting their own customer base and people in general that are coming over to the Samsung thing. Samsung has generally given the best trade-in offers for the past years, have them be with trading credits and trading credits in terms of what you can trade in, and also free pre-order gifts. But the trading credits this year are literally about 50% less versus what they were last year. In some aspects of the phones last year, you could get up to $1,000. This year, the most you can get is $750 for a Z Fold 4, which is almost a $2,000 phone, and this phone just came out a few months ago. How disrespectful is that? The other disrespectful part is you have an S22 Ultra, which is their best phone from last year, spec-wise, and that phone's only $500. Previously, it was between $800 and $1,000 trade-in, which is insane, the huge drop that they do on that. But remember, I just said the S22 Ultra, $500. iPhone 14 Pro Max, you can get $720. Now, I know that phone's newer than the S22 Ultra, but that to me is complete disrespect for your customer base, Samsung, to offer your competitor phone trade-in more money, $720 versus $500 for your S22 Ultra, which a lot of people like to upgrade every single year. There's some people that don't, which I understand. I don't think you need to this year, so don't get me wrong. But when you compare that, I think you should always reward your customer base more than you do an outside vendor. Keep that loyalty coming, but you also want to build up your outside customer base from iPhone. So I don't mind them giving a good trade-in value, but they should either be equal or super close to each other, not $220 less. It's crazy. It's seriously freaking crazy, and I find it disrespectful. And to train your audience to expect something such as a really great trade-in value, and then completely sweep you under the rug. It's not even like, let's decline it a little bit by little bit by little bit. They cut it by 50%, guys. Sometimes even more. If you have an older phone, you're getting nothing, like a couple $100. Whereas last year, you could have got maybe $400 or $500 for that same similar type phone. It's insane. It's so insane to me. It's scary in a way too. I don't want Samsung to fail. I love Samsung phones. Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4 is my daily phone. They make great devices. They make great products. Customer service is okay, not awful, not great either. Sometimes in the middle of the road. Sometimes it is bad. Sometimes it's great. But I don't want to see this be a bad thing. And I think we're heading towards potential bad times for Samsung. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong, but it's losing money and a phone that I don't think a lot of people are going to buy this phone. I don't get me wrong. I think it'll be one of the top selling phones, but in terms of what they see year over year, I think it's going to be a drop again in terms of what they sell. The economy hasn't been that great for a lot of folks, and factor in that Samsung's lost money, and then the third factor in is the trade-in values aren't great if you're buying the unlocked phone, or sometimes even with the carrier phones, you're not getting a good trade-in, dependingly if it's a slightly older phone, so it depends. But they're really pushing people to buy the carrier version versus buying it through them directly. First story of the day is about the OnePlus Pad. Remember, this is going to be OnePlus's foray into tablet game, and tablet it is, because this is looking like a really, really nice tablet. This is information has been leaked out saying it's going to have 11.6 inch 2K LCD 144 hertz display. I think that's the highest of any tablet thus far, globally anyway. MediaTek Dimensity 9000 processor. Now this processor is very powerful. It's a little bit more powerful than a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor. It'll come in 8 or 12 gigs of RAM. You can get it in storage sizes of 128, 256, or 512 gigabytes. Rear camera is 13 megapixels, front camera is 8 megapixels, but who really uses the camera on a tablet anyway, except for video chat? Android 13 out of the box with Oxygen OS, Color OS on top of that. Wi-Fi only, so no 5G support on this. Stylus support, so if you like writing with a pen, it has support for that. 9,500 milliamp battery and 67 watt charging. This tablet on paper is great. Very, very nice tablet. It's going to be able to game. It's going to be able to, when a game is going to be up to 144 hertz, which is going to be amazing for gaming if the game you're playing supports that. Very powerful, lots of storage. What do you guys think? The next story is actually just showing you where all the sensors are on the S23 Ultra, just in case you were curious. The front of the phone, you can see where the speaker is, the microphone, front cameras, proximity light sensor on top of the display towards the top there, the touch screen, the edge screen, where the S Pen is held, headphone jack, multi-purpose USB-C, but it's not a headphone jack, it's just a USB-C. On the bottom right, you'll see the SIM card tray, fingerprint recognition sensors in the middle towards the bottom. Again, the edge screen, the side key, which is the power button, volume key, and the microphone at the top. And then on the back of the phone, here it is. You can see the rear cameras. You got a microphone in between the rear cameras, NFC antenna, wireless charging coil takes up the big part of the back of the phone, the main antenna for, 5G and all that, microphone at the bottom, air vent hole at the bottom, speaker at the bottom, flash at the top there, GPS antenna on the top right, and laser autofocus sensor. So it's kind of cool to see this in a more simplified version of the phone, to see what all the ports and all those things are. Next up is a little quick video showing that Germany, people are already getting their Galaxy S23 Ultras delivered. How cool is that? I would love to get my phone that early, but yeah, so far so good. If you live in Germany, it looks like some of the phones are already going out, which I assume other parts of Europe as well. So if you got your phone and you're in Europe, let us know in the comments down below. And our last story of the day, my buddy Samsung Rida, or Rida as you might know him, link his Twitter down below. He ordered his Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra from Samsung, unlocked, and his is due to be delivered Monday. That's right, he's already got his FedEx information. If you go onto FedEx, sign up for an account if you don't already have one, and then look under advanced shipment tracking. This is what he sees right here. So tracking number is obviously blocked out because he didn't want people to know it, but it's coming from Samsung over in Texas. He edited the two-part, but it is Greggles' best friend, Rida, 1234 Greggles Street in Gary, California at 90210. And the weight is 2 pounds. And it's coming FedEx 2-day. And then at the top, you can see estimated delivery February 13th. And it looks like it's gonna ship out on the 9th. Today's February 3rd, making this video. So about 10 days, we should start receiving our phones, especially if you ordered from Samsung. You might even get it delivered earlier here in the US if you ordered it from the carrier. The other thing to know about this is that I checked mine on FedEx advanced shipment tracking. Mine's not showing up just yet, but expect that to change a lot over the next few days for everyone. So if you don't, our first and only story of the day has to do with the trade-in offers that you got with your Galaxy S23, and they were severely disappointing. Disappointing to the fact where you would probably might and didn't upgrade because they were so bad. They were really only quote unquote kind of good if you went directly with the carrier through the Samsung website, or to your carrier directly without Samsung. They're at least tolerable, but you're locked into a contract. So I still don't find those to be very attractive. Most people want the unlocked version of the phone, or like to get the unlocked version of the phone, like I've spoken about before, because it doesn't have any bloatware, it doesn't have any branding or tagging in the software with that company. It gives you the very original vanilla software and feel experience from Samsung. But some information potentially coming out that might change that per a conversation with Samsung customer service. So one of my followers or subscribers or whatever you want to call it, Brandon, if you want to, I won't say your full name in case you don't want to come out like that way, but Brandon chatted with Samsung support and they said, or he said, I'm a bit upset for the trade-in offer for the previous phones like my S22 Ultra. Why is it so low this year? There's no value for our devices. And they said, I definitely understand your frustration. We have requested that the trade-in value be increased and we are just waiting on that to be accepted. We have definitely noticed that as well. And I'm so sorry it's not already fixed. And then Brandon goes on to say, should I wait for that to go through with the trade-in offer to increase? I might not buy because of this. I trade up every year and this has been what I'm really thinking of not upgrading because of this. I do not want to get the carrier brand. I really want the unlocked version. This is absolutely your decision. I am not entirely sure how long that might take for it to be approved. Fingers crossed it doesn't take long, but I definitely understand your frustration with the trade-in value. I wish I could be more of help for that. He goes on to say, I appreciate your honesty and assistance with this. I think I may wait until I see a different trade-in offer. Of course, you're so welcome. I am so sorry again that I can't fix the issue, but I do know it's been brought up many times by our higher ups that they requested this to be adjusted. I truly understand. If you need anything else at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. I hope you had a great rest of your day. This really is a pain point. You go from Samsung giving you up to $1,000 in trade-in values on some of these most recent phones down to $500 for an S22 Ultra for the S23 Ultra. You can get $750 for the Z Fold 4, but that phone just came out a few months ago, or I guess it was almost 6 months ago now, but a handful of months ago, and that phone brand new is like $1,800 and they're only giving $750 for that. It's crazy the low trade-in values that they're giving across the board for their unlocked phones. I call it disappointing. I did a video calling it disappointing, and this is some potential good news on the horizon. Now, this might not ever come true. You could probably talk to another 10 different representatives. You might get 10 different answers, or you might get 5 of the same answers, 5 different answers. So don't take this as gospel, but take this as potential good hope and good news on the horizon that might come true. First story of the day has to do with gaming on your S23 series of phone, and something you should turn off that you might think you need on, but if you turn it off, it seems like you'll get better performance. Now, this information is coming out from a tweet from Gary, who has said that users who play games on Galaxy devices should turn off frame booster if possible. This function is a frame interpolation function, and it seems to operate smoothly on the surface, but in reality, it is not. He goes on to say that in addition to increasing the touch lag input, and it also worsens the experience of games such as rhythm games and shooting games that require manual play. The game plugin can be downloaded from the Galaxy Store. There you can additionally install Game Booster Plus and turn it off. He says the default game settings for Galaxy devices are 75% graphics resolution and frame booster turned on. You can normalize it with the app that he mentioned earlier. I still don't understand why Samsung, after the GOS issue last year, still sticks to these settings. Oh, by the way, these functions don't work if GOS is disabled. People who have disabled GOS do not need to use the app and cannot use it. So some things to know if you're a big gamer and you want the ultimate best performance, that you're going to want to turn that feature off, and at the very least have the other app installed as well. Next up are some benchmark comparisons of the new Galaxy S23 Ultra versus the iPhone 14s, and how Galaxy is now more powerful in some areas and then still a little bit weaker in others. So here's the information. This coming from Fascinate, and he's showing off that the Snapdragon 8Gen G2 is powerful, although the CPU is still a little inferior to the Apple A chip. The GPU has succeeded in gaining the upper hand. Apple has been taking a breather in the A chip series, and they actually have been. There's not been any huge jumps with that chip, but we'll have to wait for the A17 chip to see if they actually improve that. But here's the CPU side. You can see the S23 Ultra loses basically in almost every major category, especially against their Pro versions of the phone. It gets beat handily in the single core scores across the board, and then the multi-core scores, it only beats the regular iPhone 14, but it loses to the other ones in CPU score. But the GPU, you can see on the 3D Mark wildlife graphics test, you get up to 79.3 frames per second on there on the unlimited score, and it beats every single phone they have by at least 5 frames, if not more. And it goes on the 20.9 frames per second extreme unlimited, and the iPhone 14 Pro Max comes close to it, almost catches it, basically catches it. But basically you can see that the graphics are a little bit more powerful now for gaming on the S23 Ultra phone versus the iPhone, which hasn't been the case in a bit of time now. So this is great news if you're a gamer. Now you have a comparison. You can be like, I'm going to go with the iPhone route or the Samsung route, but let's be honest, both will perform very, very well. Your question of the day is, do you play games? Do you play hardcore games? What's your favorite game to play on your phone? Let me know in the comments down below. Without further ado, let's jump into the Q&A. First question from New York's finest: which features do I think will trickle down from the S23 Ultra to S22 Ultra? Probably all of them. I haven't played with the S23 Ultra yet and haven't really been watching anyone's videos. So I would guess almost all of them. I can't think of something that's on there that wouldn't be on the S22 Ultra. There probably will be, but almost everything will probably be on the S22 Ultra. And our last question from Michael Walker asking, how long after preparing for dispatch do they deliver? So I'm assuming you're talking about phones like, so I know with like in here in America, people that order from Samsung.com, most people are gonna get the phones on the 13th, even though it's gonna like, they usually once they ship it, actually ship it, unless there's a physical hold, it usually is delivered within 1 or 2 days. That's usually the time frame, at least here in America. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. If you have a question, leave it in the comments down below with the hashtag question, and we'll see you down the road. Peace.